Hey guys, how's it going? It's Dane at ZIMM'S Guitars. I got a customer showcase video today. Cool old guitar. Come inside here. Let's take a look at this one. Alright guys, come on inside. Let's take a look at that guitar. My good friend Johnny brought this down.
How's it going, Dane? It's always good to see you, man.
It's good to see you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, listen, just sticking with the Beatle theme that we were in before, you know,
okay.
I brought in that George Harrison 425. I sold it real quick, and it actually to a guy in Germany.
Good for you.
So that was awesome. But this here is probably, it's the redheaded stepchild of Beatles guitars, and I'd love to kind of talk about it for a few minutes. So this here is actually a 1967 Guild Starfire 12-string electric guitar. Now, you might be thinking, you know, Guild is more known for their acoustic guitars. When you think of classic American guitars, obviously, you know, Gibson, Martin, Taylor come to mind. I mean, Guild is also up there in terms of their quality, their longevity. The company was started in the early 50s, I think, when Epiphone went out of business, or there was some kind of a conglomerate that kind of came together in New York City in 1952, and then basically they opened the doors as Guild at the time, and I think they hired a lot of the luthiers that were part of the Epiphone layoff that happened at the time in '52, and then they really went off to the races. And then obviously a lot of folk singers, John Denver, Mamas and the Papas, all those guys, you know, they used Guild throughout the '60s. But at this point, by the mid '60s, they really wanted to get into the electric guitar market, and at that time they thought, what better way to really try to get one of our electric guitars introduced than to try to get it in the hands of the Beatles. So in August of 1960...
Yeah, great plan, huh?
Yeah, pretty good plan. So the son of the founder of Guild, the story goes, in August of '66, the Beatles were in New York City for a press conference, and Guild Guitars basically crashed that press conference. And you can see the pictures online, and it's a really funny story. Apparently, George Harrison was more of the 12-string player, as we all know, with the Rickenbackers and such. The son of the founder must not have been a very good Beatle fan, because he didn't realize that George Harrison was the 12-string electric player of the band. So he basically completely snubbed George Harrison and gave this to John Lennon at this press conference. And
John played a little 12-string here and there, didn't he?
He had his 325 Rick in '64. He did have 64, 65. He did use a 12-string Rick for a little bit, his little one, you know, the 325. They made him a version to use for that, and I think it was used like on Beatles for Sale and a few early '60s albums. But so John did have his hand on a 12-string, but more it was George. You know, George was the one that really ran with it, and the guy at Guild missed the memo on that. He really kind of made a big mistake. I mean, had he given this to George at the press conference, this very well could have been used on a Beatle record or in a concert. It very well could have been, or in George's solo career. But instead, he gave it to John. And so what happened to it? It's now at the Hard Rock restaurant in Honolulu, Hawaii. So it's a great
place to live.
Right, it's a great place to live. So the story goes, I mean, it was John's guitar. John and George handed it back and forth and practiced with it a lot. And theirs was a '66. It was a prototype, and it was exactly like this guitar, although it had gold.
All the hardware
was gold. Thank you.
Instead of chrome.
Instead of chrome. That's really the main difference between the version that John had and this version. And then also these Diamond pickups had a white plastic cover on it. These obviously are all chrome as well, just to match their
Diamond pickups.
So. Yeah, that's right. And but everything else, though, if you look at the pictures of it and compare it to this, it's virtually the same. John Lennon got this guitar. There's a picture or two of him using it in '68, probably at his home studio. But then at some point, Tony Cox, who was Yoko Ono's ex-husband, was given this. I think they must have stayed friends. I know they shared a daughter together before Yoko met John Lennon. But anyway, Tony Cox got his hands on this guitar, and then somehow it got to the Hard Rock in Honolulu, where it remains today, and hopefully will open soon once COVID passes. But that's where the actual guitar is that was presented to John Lennon in 1966 remains. This guitar does remain almost identical to the one that John had, other than the chrome hardware versus the gold. And then, of course, the pickups are not the white plastic covering, but I believe underneath they are the same. And we'll be hearing this here in a moment from a local guitarist who's just excellent.
Yeah, Ryan's down here.
Yeah,
he
Ryan's
agreed
down
to
here
play
today,
this thing.
and he's going to play it for us.
So you guys don't want to hear me play.
No, nor myself. I'm so out of
All right,
practice.
so the back of the it has had a little headstock injury.
It has had an injury, but this was I think more of a maybe not a full-on break. I think it was more of a crack that has been professionally repaired. My luthier has gone through it. I mean, it is as solid as can be.
The action is so good on this guitar. There's a good chance that it's already had a neck reset.
I'd say there's a very good chance of it, yeah. So again, this was a 67. So there were a couple of hundred of these that left the factory more or less before, after the Beatles one and before this one came out. But again, you're looking at a survivor here. Unfortunately, I don't have the original case, but it is a very nice hard shell Epiphone case. Of course, it would be packed with
and I see it's got the made in Germany Shaler tuners on there.
Yeah, it does. As far as I know, those are original to 67. They all look identical. The binding has held up very well. You know, sometimes these things, they get oxidized, they chip away.
Yeah, the Gretches, they get that binding rot.
Oh yeah, just like the Billy Joel one.
Just so good, honest wear on the back.
Just honest wear on the back. Yeah, I mean, this was clearly used, I think, in the studio. The gentleman that I bought it from had it for years and years out of New York, and it was his go-to. He loved it. And yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you could put it up against a Gibson, you know, a 335 12 string if you wanted to do it and have a difficult time, or a Rick.
Guild is a great brand, and they really hold their value.
Absolutely.
All right, flip it back over for us.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, fantastic. So there it is, the red-headed stepchild guitar that was a Beatle guitar, but not really seen much use in the studio or on the road, unfortunately, because it was at the end of their tour days anyway. But yeah, had he given it to the other Beatle, it may have been different. Had he given it to George, again, history might have been different, but he didn't. He gave it to John, and that's how history played out. So
okay, well, let's plug this thing in. Let's play it.
Absolutely.
So we're in the Hot Rod Deluxe right here. It's a 112. It is the Fender Special Design speaker. We're in the clean channel, and this is the neck pickup. Tone all the way open, and we are tone and volume all the way up too. That's the neck pickup. This is the middle position. So that's both pickups. We got tone all the way open on both, volume all the way up in the middle position. And as far as the amp goes for everybody, I think everything's pretty much at noon. We got a little bit of reverb. Reverb's kind of at 2, but everything else, presence, middle, treble, and bass is all about at noon. This is going to be the bridge pickup, tone all the way open, and volume all the way up. So that bridge pickup.
There you have it. Ryan, thank you. Johnny, thanks for bringing that thing in.
Thank you, Dane. Absolutely. It's been a great having you here. Thank you, Ryan. That was phenomenal.
He's a great player.
Yeah.
My new Mark Agnesi sitting over here.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
See you next time.
Yeah.